What is up, y'all? Summer here with another video. Happy New Year. Happy No More 2020. Happy year of confronting racism and systematic oppression in this country, moving our way into 2021, which will hopefully be a year of action and change and all kinds of things we've been looking for decades, right? But Happy New Year, y'all. I'm here with another video about photography, and we're gonna do something a little bit different. I wanted to make my first video of the year about other folks. And today, what we're gonna be talking about is where are all the Black photographers? And I feel really excited to make this content and to share these folks with all of you. Now, my channel is small. I just started making content. I don't have a lot of subscribers. That's not what this is about. I just want to put this content out there for the folks that are watching my videos, to find some new really cool people that you may or may not already know about. So when I first started to look to YouTube for film photography related content, every single time I typed in photography, analog photography, film photography, every single time I typed that into the search results, my list was full of cis white males. Basically, there weren't even any cis women or female identified folks within the list. It was all a list as long as it could be, full of cis white dudes. And I asked myself, where are all the Black photographers? And I was kind of frustrated by this. It made me think a lot about the YouTube algorithm, and so frustrated that I decided to start a channel and put out content. And I mentioned this in my very first video. I am non-binary, queer, I'm a mixed race Black person, Black and Filipinx, and I wanted to put out content so that if someone else out there is looking for someone to identify that looks like them, then maybe they could stumble across me. So I was watching videos for a while and searching for a while before I finally got the very first Black photographer that popped up in my feed, and that was Valandez. Shout out to Valandez, man. I was really happy to see his content because, one, he does not code switch. Like, he makes his videos as himself. He shows up as himself and he represents, and I really loved that about watching his content. Two, dude is from the hood, and so am I. And the content that he was creating really spoke to me. The visuals that he creates, his photos really spoke to me. So I was happy to see that content out in the world and to see a Black man representing photography, and a Black man from the hood representing photography, and acknowledging that oftentimes the idea of being an artist or being a photographer is not a part of the conversation for what folks can be when they're growing up in those kinds of environments. I know it all too well. So Valandez was the first person that popped up in my feed, and I was super happy to see him, and that got me thinking about YouTube and its algorithm. And all kinds of thoughts started swirling around my brain about what was going on here and why was I not seeing more Black photographers in my feed. So I decided to start searching specifically for photographers that look like me. One of the things that made Valandez's feed really impactful for me was that not only was he himself a black photographer, or he himself is a black photographer, but a lot of his models, his subjects, the folks that he is capturing in his content, in his short films, all full of black people. And it was so beautiful to see that representation, right? And after Falandez, the next person I stumbled on was Mike Gray. And then that dude, I was so excited to see his content, because he was representing, not only showing representation of black men, but also showing representation of black women within his content. So I was really excited to see his work, and watching his videos. He's just like such a chill dude, so down to earth. Like and he's from Texas. I'm not from Texas. I'm from Louisiana, deep south, New Orleans. But I spent about 4 years living in Houston. So it was really dope to see this man from Dallas, I believe, living in California, as am I, making really incredible work. So I kept searching, and more people started popping up. And every time a black photographer came across my feed, I hit that subscribe button, because one, I want to show support, but two, I want to change what my feed looks like. For the longest time, when I would scroll, every single face was a cis white male. And I'm not saying that there's something inherently wrong with cis white men. Like, don't get me wrong, that's not at all what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that is the norm when it comes down to who is represented and whose voices are uplifted and whose voices are at the front of the line. It's usually a cis white male, and that dynamic wasn't any different in my YouTube feed. That the voices that were at the front of the line, once again, were cis white males. And I had to really dig to find voices outside of that demographic. And once I started to dig, I really started to find some interesting folks. And I was excited, because as these folks were popping up and I was watching their videos and absorbing their content, I was filled with so much joy over the range of personality types. It was such a beautiful expression of all different walks of life being represented within photography, and as like in the body of black photographers. I was really excited to see all of those folks. Now, this video is not about breaking down everyone's channel, and by breaking down, I mean like talking about the type of content that they cover, any of that stuff. This video is just about showing you folks that are out there, that are making really cool content, and suggesting them to you so that you can also diversify your YouTube photo feed. Right? So let's jump into it. I'm going to go through and show you a few of the folks that I've found so far. This list is by no means exhaustive. It's just the people that I have found in my searchings so far. And I know that there's so many more out there that I just haven't come across yet. So let's go ahead and try to beat this YouTube algorithm, and I'm just gonna deliver all of the knowledge I found so far in terms of where are all the black photographers. Let's go. So as we have this conversation, you may be asking yourself, why is this an important topic to talk about? Why do we have to bring race into the world of photography? And my simple answer to that question is that race is in everything. It's not a matter of bringing something into a space where it doesn't exist already. Starting conversations within a space that conversation doesn't already exist within. Race is in everything, and it is an unavoidable topic, and that comes down to the fact that within our country, as humans from the United States of America or otherwise, Black humans from this country and non-Black humans that are from this country or living in this country, it is something that is a part of every space that we navigate. And if we're not having these conversations, if we're not taking the initiative to talk about these things, then it's like sitting on the elephant in the room. It's like pretending like something isn't a problem, maybe because it isn't a problem for you. And when it comes down to having these conversations within the space of photography, it really comes down to the idea of representation. The idea that there are a diverse group of voices that can lend really beautiful, nuanced angles to conversations, and that by making sure all of those voices have room to exist, by making sure that all of those voices are being considered, you are only making the overall structure stronger. Right? And there's so many really cool photographers out there producing content from all kinds of different angles. There's folks like Ribs with doing film things. He is from New York. He's Dominican. I'm not 100% sure if he identifies as Afro-Dominican, but he definitely identifies as Dominican. He is from New York and he lives over in London, and the work that he is producing is really cool. He's producing work documenting all kinds of really interesting places throughout the UK, but and not just like throughout Europe and other places. And on top of that, he's also dropping all kinds of really cool knowledge about different types of darkroom printing processes, film printing, film development processes. Like, really cool dude, right? There's also folks like Zone Focus. So this dude is a Black man living in Japan currently, and his content is fresh and interesting. He also doesn't code switch, and I really enjoy that about watching his content, watching him be 100% his self while producing content all the way in another country on the other side of the world. So I really dig that about him. Right? So calling out those folks specifically because the way that their voices lend to the conversation is just so very cool to me. And there's all kinds of other folks that are producing really cool, interesting content, as you can see them flashing behind me. Marcus Lloyd is another dude. I think I found him, I think he was maybe third or fourth in my list of folks that I found producing really interesting content. He shoots with what he calls the Texas Leica. My man, I don't know if you're ever going to see this video, but I'm really curious about that. I'm really curious about that naming for the Fuji that you work with. I tried to Google it. I haven't found a lot of information behind calling it the Texas Leica, except for it's big and Texas has that, like, everything's bigger in Texas. I don't know, but I haven't found it. I don't know. I'm looking. I haven't found it. And keeping it moving, there's Mike Gray. I already talked about him. He was the second person that I found when I was looking for photographers, black photographers in this YouTube space, right? And there's a ton of other people that are just making really interesting content and bringing their voices, lending their voices to this world of photography. All of them have a lot more subscribers than me, but I also feel all of them don't have as many subscribers as they should have for the content that they are producing, right? So this is how I wanted to start out my year. I wanted to start out my year by highlighting other folks, brown, black folks, that are out there representing and doing what they love and putting their heart and their energy and their creativity into producing content within this space of YouTube, right? I'm happy that I had an opportunity to make this video. I'm really interested to know who else is out there. There's these folks that I found. I believe I have about 10 people in my list, 10 or 11 people in my list right now, but I'm hungry for more, to find more folks that look like me, that represent the way that I do and the way that these folks represent. I'm looking for more folks out there to add to my list of content that I'm regularly filling myself with. So if you know of anyone else that I didn't talk about today that's producing really cool content, by all means, really cool photography, film photography related content, by all means, please drop their names below so that we can check them out. I'm also going to make sure that I put links to all of these folks' YouTube page in the description, so you have easy access to them, so you can hit that subscribe button and also add them into your video rotation. Yeah, I feel really good and really humble and just happy to put this content out in the world today. Happy New Year. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, shoot it a thumbs up. If not, let me know how I can improve. I'm always down for constructive feedback and constructive feedback with love. But I'm always down for constructive feedback so I can understand how I can grow in making this content. I'm a photographer, a designer. I'm not a videographer, so I'm doing what I can with this whole video situation. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing what I can. Yeah, that's all I got for you for today. Until next time, peace, y'all.